Hello, and welcome to None Other Than Nigel. Buckle up and get ready. For a fun-filled podcast dedicated to informative and knowledgeable topics and conversations relevant to music, TV, movies, and books. With your host, none other than Nigel. Listen and learn from industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and multi-award-winning special guests as we delve deep into in-depth discussions, ranging from topics relevant to the wonderful world of entertainment, living life on life's terms, and simply having fun.
Can you hear me? Can you
I
see
can
me?
hear you good. Uh-huh.
Please? All right, we both we both in the place.
Let's go.
So where am I at? Oh, let me see. I'll turn up a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, even better.
Even better? Okay, that's good. And the last interview I did, I was louder than them.
Yeah.
So,
How's my level? It's good?
Yeah. Well, you set up.
Cool.
All right. So, welcome.
Started off good.
Yes, welcome. I was in here jamming to the album, and Alchemy was on. And I got lost in the music and lost in the time, and that's why I was like, "Oh shit, it's 2:00." So
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
it's a great thing. So I want to start. Let me see. How do I make us? We're upside down. Oh, I know what it is. There we go. Now I can see us. See you.
Yeah.
So Brent,
Yes,
thank you for
indeed.
coming. Thank you for coming on the show. Today I want to start out by congratulating you
Well, thank you.
on all your achievements, all your accomplishments. Amazing.
I'm grateful.
Totally amazing. And I'm here with Brent Birckhead, jazz man, the flautist, everything. So what I want to talk about, first thing I want to talk about is little. Let's go back to the little Brent, way back in the day.
Way there.
And tell me about him.
Well, I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and currently in Baltimore now. I came up a child of 4, so there's 4 of us. I have an older sister, I have an older brother, and a younger sister. And my parents have been together, I guess, now for about 43 years. So I was a middle child, but I was also a big brother and a younger sibling at the same time. You know what I mean? So I have both of those traits. I was a very shy kid, and the time that you knew me, I still had a lot of that's still in me. You know what I mean? And it still lives within me. It's still a part of me. You know, I was an extremely shy child. And I started playing music at the age of 10. Preceding that, my brother played trumpet. You know, my older sister played flute, but didn't necessarily follow through with it in high school. But my brother was a trumpet player. And for that reason, I wanted to play trumpet when I first started. But my father convinced me to play the saxophone. And I haven't looked back since then. In middle school, I went to an arts middle school where I was a band magnet. You could do a magnet in this school. So I was focused. I had a band focus, and also was in the choir as well, because as a band magnet, you had to pick an elective, whether it was drama or whether it was choir. So I picked choir because I'd sang previously. And I didn't know how it was going to help me in my future at all. I didn't think anything of it, you know. So then after that, I went to high school, the same high school my brother went to, which is a theme in some senses, because I used to go watch him play gigs, and my father and I used to go to his track meets and all that other stuff. So I ended up following in a lot of his footsteps, you know. When I was in high school, had my first opportunities to play, gigs. My band director got us gigs around town, not myself and about 3 or 4 others. And he would hire us to play for certain events, and we'd be making money, playing music, learning tunes, and all that stuff. So that was kind of like my first experiences playing professionally, and where I figured out this is what I wanted to do. I was like, there's nothing else I like more, so I might as well pursue this. And then from there, I matriculated to Howard University, and at Howard University, I was there for a total of 7 years. I got my bachelor's of music education, and I got my master of music with an emphasis in jazz studies. And there is where I met one of my instructors, Charlie Young, my saxophone instructor, who kind of guided me through what a career in music would look like. And that's when I started playing flute and clarinet, and got those things together. And actually, at Howard, that's where I started my first tours. My first tour was to Japan in 2005 with the Howard University Jazz Ensemble, and that kind of changed the way I saw the world. It was much bigger at that point. And since then, I've been back several times, and I made several trips with the Howard University Jazz Ensemble, with the Howard University Flute Ensemble. I made my first trip to Africa, and made a lot of good contacts there as well. From there, while I was getting my master's, I started teaching in DCPS. I did 3 years in DCPS. I did my student teaching, which is like your final semester of school. You go to a school and you study underneath of a master teacher, right? So the school that I student taught at, I ended up getting a job there as the woodwind instructor. And for 2 of those years, I was able to be under Yusef Chisholm, who was a great bassist, but was one of my mentors in education. And what I learned in education, you have to find your voice in that too, just like you do in music. You have to find your voice in how to communicate very simply to some 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. You know what I mean? And they tell you exactly how it is. And if you're not clear with the information that you're given, they're going to do something else. You know what I mean? So I was grateful for that experience. I didn't know how it was going to affect me in the future, and I still don't know fully, but I've definitely used those skills in education to be able to propel my career forward now. Now, after I did my final year at Hardy, which was year 3, I moved up to New York, because that was generally the plan anyway. I wanted to go to New York and test the waters, because I wanted to be among the best. If I wanted to be the best, I had to be among the best on a daily basis. And that's just the way I looked at it. And I cut my teeth there for 8 years. I was able to do some major tours while I was up there and meet some great contacts. One of which I stayed with for a while was Lauryn Hill, who I stayed with for about 3.5 years, consistently touring. Generally, when you do these dates, there can be one-offs, 2-offs. You may do a week here, a week there. But with that gig, I was consistently on the road for almost 3.5 years, which was a different experience in itself. And I learned a good amount of lessons doing that as well. Traveled the world, played for some of the biggest stages. You know what I mean? And it was a great experience that kind of set my trajectory off into a different direction. Now, pandemic me. I was in France and for 2 days, and the world shut down just that fast. I was supposed to be there for a month, and got sent back after 2 days. And from there, went back to New York. My wife came to Virginia because that's where her folks were. And I was like, baby, it's only going to be a week or 2, And then it turned into 2.5 years, and now we're still in it in some sort of way. You know what I mean? And from there, we moved to Baltimore, and about maybe a year after, maybe less, we bought a house, which was for us was a huge deal. It was our first house, and in a new place. even though I'm from here, coming back here after all those years, you see it as an adult, and it's a very different place. You know what I mean? A very different experience. You know, and I'm coming back into the same spaces, even the spaces that I was when I was making my way through DC, playing with some of the same bands, right? And now, as somebody with more experience under their wings, you see those bands in different lights. You know what I mean? You come back to that band with different experiences, and you're able to add certain things that you couldn't before. You know, so the experience is new all around. You know, and I think that's what the pandemic has done, in some sort of way. Everything is new, even if it's the same. You know what I mean? Everything is you have new eyes for everything.
Yes, indeedy. I did see the I Am video, and I thought was that a project, or that was just a promo piece that you did?
It was just a promo piece.
But it summed it up. It was like, hey, if you can't make it in New York, you can't make it anywhere. And it's in your nature, you know. You are a Cancer. Sure. I mean, a lot of Cancers are very creative people. It's vast. One of my all-time favorite Cancers is George Clinton.
Absolutely.
And so he's the mastermind behind so much of that musical stuff. I mean, he had the you know. So I'm not surprised. And but let's talk about Howard and your days there. Dorm life.
Dorm life. Well, let's talk about it. My first year was tough. For me, was tough. My first year of any type of school was tough because I'm naturally reclusive. You know what I mean? I have to put myself out there on purpose in order to incorporate myself in things. I don't naturally do it. Now more so I do today, but back then especially not. So my first year was rough. I was in an upperclassman dorm and I had my own room, so I didn't get that socialization of the freshman dorm until much later. So in that moment, I dove deep, you know what I mean, into music. You know, okay. You know what I mean? I dove. Some people like, I dove deep into the alcohol, into the bottle. Okay. No, but I dove deep. I would be in the practice rooms all night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in that space, I found a couple of other people that were there as well. There's only a couple of us that were burning the night oil. You know what I mean? And those friendships that I got in those late nights ended up being the ones that lasted throughout my college experience. You know, they say, you know, you'll find the people that are for you when you're doing what you love, right? So that kind of happened, and from that point on, things started blossoming. Once I found my space, things started blossoming, and I found, you know, the teachers invested in me, from Mr. Fred Irby, who I was able to, who let me travel to all these different places with the jazz ensemble. My instructor, Charlie Young, who was not easy with me. You know what I mean? He gave me the real deal because I asked for it too. You know, that's what I asked. You know, I would be there early morning so I could practice before my lessons, you know what I mean? So I could be ready to present, you know, which is something that still carries on. I don't like to go places without being properly prepared to present. And, you know, for that reason, I still carry a lot of these same practice habits. You know, I practice, you know, with some type of regularity and some type of purpose, so that no matter what situation I'm in, I can be at my best. And I definitely learned that on a different level when I got to Howard. Also met my flute instructor as well, Saiz Kamaluddin, who was like, so when you gonna start playing flute? And then, you know what I mean? Because for a saxophonist, and he knew the career that I was going to be going into, he's like, you're going to need to know how to play the flute. You're going to need to know how to play the clarinet. And he was like, so when you going to start? You know? And and that was during the summer. And that following semester, started getting flute lessons, you know, and without that push, I may not have gotten that deep into it. You know what I mean? And I would hate to see how that would have ended up, because, you know, for me right now, it's such a powerful tool. You know what I mean? To have the ability to play different instruments, you know, and the ability to have a voice, have a different voice, you know, on each one of them. So I'm grateful for that process. And like I said, Howard was my first touring experiences. You know, they were my first times traveling out the country. You know, so
you were with you were still with Jazz Ensemble while you were going to Howard.
With the Jazz Ensemble.
Was Mesa? No, Mesa wasn't with them when you were there.
No,
probably left. That was before you.
Yeah, that was before me. Maybe 15 years before.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Actually, Mesa went to my high school though.
Okay, so, but that was before you were born.
Before, but yeah.
That's a damn shame.
But maybe like
it's a baby. Yeah. It's a baby over here.
I wish. I mean, I'm not quite at the baby stage anymore.
I mean, not anymore. But yeah. Wow.
But yeah, that was a part of my experience. While I was there, I was a part of the Jazz Ensemble. I was a part of the concert band. I was a part of
Morgan.
No, this is at Howard.
Oh, Howard. Okay, so Jazz Ensemble and what else? I'm sorry.
Jazz Ensemble, the Flutes of Howard, the what else? Orchestra, HU Orchestra. I was part of the saxophone ensemble, and I think that was it. It was 4 or 5 ensembles while I was there. So I got a good amount of playing experience.
So that's kind of like a foundation.
For sure, it's definitely the foundation for all the things that I've done thus far. You know, being able to play with a group of people, being able to play with singers, being able to show up to rehearsals on time. You know, all the same aspects that I deal with on a daily basis now.
Work ethic, yeah.
Sure.
And so the graduation came.
Yep.
And how was it? I
graduated twice. So after the first time, I wasn't planning on coming back right away to get my master's, but my Fred Irby told me they have an assistantship open. So it would be full tuition and you get a stipend. So I was that narrowed down my choices. I said I might as well go while it's free. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I can make my own experience. I have to create my own experience, you know, and make it my own, you know, make it work for me. And it did, you know. After that first graduation, you know, it was kind of like it was a continuation, but at the same time, I was also teaching at the same time in DCPS, so that added another element to what was going on. You know, you think it's going to slow down a little bit once you graduate, but then it just amplified. You know, so that was a great experience, and being able to organize my days and being my first real working experiences, professional working experiences, you know, during that time as well.
You mean as far as teaching?
Teaching, for sure.
With DCPS.
Through DCPS, yes.
And did you teach at Howard?
I did. Well, not. I was the assistant. Well, not the assistant. I was the graduate assistant. So I would teach classes like improv. I ended up teaching the woodwinds methods class, which is you're teaching music education majors how to fundamentally play the saxophone, how to fundamentally play the flute, how to fundamentally play the clarinet. You know,
fundamentally, but not physically.
Well, they're still playing them.
Oh, okay.
You're learning the basics.
Okay,
you're learning how to make a sound, and you're learning a couple of scales. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're learning it to the point where you can teach it. You know what I mean? So I taught those classes as well. But that was the capacity of teaching that I did while I was at Howard.
Okay. Wow. So after Howard, you ended up at Morgan.
Well, I ended up at Morgan in 2014. I was already in New York for 2 years.
Okay.
When I started at Morgan.
So let's go back to you being in New York. Okay, so you now after Howard.
After Howard, I think it may have been 6 months because I finished up at Hardy in 2011, and I came to New York January 2012. And again, there was another brand new experience. It was like going into freshman year. You know?
So wait a minute. When I booked you, you were still at Howard?
Yeah, I was still at Howard.
Okay, so the tourist whole thing that happened while you were at Howard and teaching at DCPS and doing all of that. Okay, yep. Amazing.
That was at that time period.
Okay, so let's. All right, so you were saying?
Yeah, New York. Oh, I came to New York in 2012. Now, while I was in New York, I was still spend several days in DC. You know what I mean? I would do a wedding or something like that, or or a big money event, and then come back up. But New York was starting all the way back over. You know what I mean? Where nobody knows you. It's a huge city where there's thousands of people doing the same thing that you're doing, trying to achieve the same goal that you are. You know, so it was a bunch of going out every single night to 5-6 clubs a night, staying up until 4 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? Sharpening up the craft and, meeting people night after night after night after night, until you kind of break through. And it takes a while sometimes to break through, you know what I mean? It will break through in any kind of capacity. Break through in a way that you can work regularly, you know what I mean? Just in the city, not even touring, just in the place that you are. For a lot of people, that's at that they don't have that time, and after that money dries up, they got to go back home. You know what I mean? And that's real. The only thing that really helps is just consistency, because if you're doing all this work and you're not receiving anything in return, you might get a bit discouraged. Which wasn't.
And showing up in the right places.
For sure.
And people becoming familiar with your face.
Exactly.
And your craft.
Right.
But you came up there already seasoned and ready to roll. You just need to let them know you were there.
Right.
A little bit more. Still. And pick up some, and learn too. I'm sure you wanted, there were some people you wanted to get around, or work with.
For sure. All of your idols are there. They're sitting right in there. It's like there's no glass in between you. They're right there in front of you. You know what I mean? And the thing that you don't realize is that most of your heroes, they went through the same process that you did. They've been where you were. We look at these people as superheroes sometimes, and they are still superheroes to you, but they are just people that went through a process to get something done. You know what I mean? They went to the jam sessions at night. They went to they did all of these things. They were where you were, and it's hard to see that when you're at that stage, because you're like, oh man, these are the people that I've seen my whole life. You know what I mean? I've seen but in reality, these are people that they put their pants on one leg at a time. They want to feed their family. You know what I mean? They want to be happy. You know what I mean? There's just basic things. So, and in a greater part of it, I mean, I'm more so seeing that clearly within these last several years, because I'm a little bit older now, you know what I mean? And I have different responsibilities, and I'm like, oh yeah, they have to do this too. You know what I mean? They and it's like, oh, okay, this is how the fraternity, is formed, because you go through the process. And if you make it out the other side, then you're a part of that group. You know what I mean? You are now that person that is in that craft, and you're on the other side now.
Yes.
Still lots of room to go, but you're on the other side of it. You can sustain now.
Yeah. You got the checks are clearing.
Right. That's an important thing.
It's beautiful to put money in your pocket.
It is.
So that the first taste in New York, and now you're getting your footing. And
Absolutely.
tell me about that.
Well,
or how you felt, or give me some story. Or give me a fun. Go ahead.
there are a bunch of small victories that build up. You know what I mean? My first gigs when I came to New York were with a New York brass band called Sugartone Brass Band, and any regular gig that you have is a stepping stone. At least for me, it was. So that was like, okay, now I feel more a part of what's happening, right? And about 6 months after that, I got the first call from a DC trombonist, Greg Boyer. He called me to do some gigs with Ericbenet, which ended up being reoccurring season after season. No long tours, but we would do short stints, 4 or 5 dates at a time. That also was a stepping stone. It was something that made me feel like I was going in the right direction. There was also a group called the Revive Big Band. Now, the Revive Big Band was like the all-stars of the young jazz musicians in New York. And these were a lot of these guys. The first time I was in it, there were a lot of guys in there that I'd been listening to since I was in college, and they were only 4 or 5 years older than me. But at the same time, if you're making it in New York, you're a superstar. You know what I mean? At least to the rest of the world. You know what I mean? So I was in that when I got called for that or to play in the Revive Big Band. It was an amazing experience because I was playing with a lot of people that I looked up to. I think the first show that we did was with Bilal. We also did some stuff with Esperanza Spalding and Robert Glasper and the who's who of that music category we were playing with, and that was a band that gave me a lot of confidence, that let me know once again, okay, I'm on the right path, and then 3 years after I was in New York was from that relationship that I got with the Revive Big Band. The leader of that band was Igmar Thomas. He called me to do the Lauryn Hill gig. First, he called me to do a one-off, which is normal. A lot of times we get called to do one-off horn section for artists that are coming through town. Not uncommon. We did a show at the Apollo. And a quick story about that is that he called me the day before. And I think I had just done a gig in DC, and I was like, yo, are you in town tomorrow? And I said, yeah, I'm coming back in town tomorrow. So it's pouring rain. I'm taking the bus up, right? I don't know who this rehearsal is for, right? He just told me to be here at a certain time. It's pouring outside, so I'm running to this rehearsal spot because I can't wait out. I'm not going to wait outside for a cab because the cabs are just flying by right now, And so I show up to rehearsal soaking wet. I go to the spot, and they're like, I'm supposed to be here for a rehearsal from so to so on. And then they're like, oh yeah, well, are you with Usher or are you with Lauryn Hill? I was like, either one is good with me. But it ended up being with Lauryn Hill. And that was the start of it, And of course, we were in rehearsal. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have any music. We didn't no idea what we were doing there, and nobody. She wasn't there for that rehearsal. And we were playing the next day at the Apollo Theater. And this is for the Netflix special on Nina Simone. This is where we were filming that. I think Jasmine Sullivan was on it, and a bunch of great acts.
It was a Netflix special.
It was
Nina Simone. Okay,
Nina Simone. And they'll show clips of this at the end of the documentary. But she did the soundtrack for it. So we were doing a bunch of Nina Simone covers. We were doing "Feeling Good," which she ended up doing a bunch. We ended up doing like Nikita Pie. The color of my true, I forget what it's called. Of the color of my true love skin. So we did a bunch of Nina Simone tunes, and that was my introduction, and that started a 3.5 year run with Lauryn Hill. And in that experience, I ended up touring with Nas as well because they did a double bill. So we ended up backing up Nas as well during that period. And ended up, I
have a quick question.
Yeah.
During the one-offs, how much time do you get to learn the material?
Sometimes it's a rehearsal and then a show. You know what I mean? One rehearsal, one show.
And then you're on. I mean, you just...
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so...
Very little preparation.
Continue on. You're going to get your money's worth with him, okay?
Right.
Don't worry, this is a professional over here, people.
Well,
okay.
that's a part of it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be able to learn music quickly and then go on the big stage and not freeze. You know what I mean? There are times you can get on a big stage and you can forget where you are. It's actually not uncommon. So a part of the profession is to be able to perform when you're on those stages, big or small. But you know, when you're playing in front of 80,000, it feels a little bit different. You know what I mean? So being able to learn music on the spot and then go within a couple of hours and perform it, you know what I mean, for a television special, you know, which we did a bunch of. You know, and you have to be on. It's a part of the game, you know.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So there were a bunch of good experiences in that well, good learning experiences, I'll say.
Yeah, because you and Lauryn, not to cut you off, but you.
Yeah.
Well, then this manifested a tour.
For sure.
I mean, you were with her for a while.
I was. We did. We did a bunch of dates. We did like 3 official tours, which lasted 3.5 years. We did shows like Austin City Limits, which you can see online. We did Charlie Rouse. We did Black Girls Rock. We did Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We did a bunch. I mean, and it's like it was instant. You know, once you're in that, it's like everything comes. You know, at the same time.
But you were prepared. See, that's the thing. You were prepared. Everything was preparing you.
Without a doubt. Didn't even
know. For your
know.
blessings. A lot of times preparation is key.
Right. Didn't even know. Like,
no, you won't know. But you're in it.
Right.
And you walked it.
Right.
But you manifested it.
For sure.
You were prepared. So you were focused.
Oh,
you have a laser sharp focus from what I know.
Well, focus hasn't been a problem for me. That hasn't been, thankfully. But
emotions is another thing, right?
There you go.
But that's your nature, man. So don't worry about that.
It is, but it's all a process. You know, there's some things that we're stronger in than others, and then the things that we're not as strong in, that's directly where we go to improve. You know, that's the same way I address like my practice sessions. You know, I can play the stuff that I know and I'm good at, but I need to go directly at my weaknesses so I can make steady progress. You know, so I mean, it's been a good trip thus far, and that was with Lauryn. That was one of the most impactful that I had because I was thrown into it. Just like that. I was, you know, sometimes you're like, man, when is something gonna happen? You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing all this work. When is something gonna give? And then, in an instant, you know, you have things, that are lined up already for you. It's like, I've never been here. Now I'm going. Never been here. Like, are you available Saturday to go to Australia? I'm like, yeah, I might be.
Okay.
You know,
let me check my calendar.
You know,
doing good. Well, you packing the bag
for sure. And it was during that time that I was able to save up money so I could record my first project, which I knew playing for other people is always great, and I always want to be able to do it, but I needed to be able to facilitate my own thing, to be able to have my own self-expression with my own band, you know, with my own music. So during that time, I was like, I got it now. Let's go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? And I'm extremely glad that I did, because one, I know from other people's experiences, no gig is forever. You know what I mean? It never lasts forever, and you can't count on it lasting forever. The only thing that you can count on is yourself and what you're willing to do for yourself in that capacity to keep things going for yourself. And just like that, it ended. You know what I mean? At least in that capacity. Okay. Now I have worked with the Fuji since, you know what I mean? But that part after 3.5 years ended, you know what I mean? Abruptly, you know, which, you know, for a lot of people, it could incapacitate you, you know what I mean? And there was that moment because I had to regroup again. I had to regroup. I said, okay, what's the plan now? And then I'm like, the same thing that it always was. Let me put out this music. You know what I mean? And this was my opportunity. At least that's how I saw it. This is my opportunity to be everything that I'm, you know,
meant to be. That's right.
You know what I mean?
One monkey don't stop no show.
There it is. That's wisdom right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I saw a video clip a while back with Robert Glasper, and he didn't have too much nice to say about Lauryn. But
definitely.
Yeah, but everybody has their experiences, and we tend to keep
that experience too.
We tend to bottle them up. So if you want to share your experience, the floor is yours. But if not, we can move on past that.
You know, I mean,
because it's important. The business is very important.
It is, and that was a great lesson that I learned in that capacity. You know what I mean? I think he said it in a way, but
that seemed slight. Well, to novice people, it seemed like it was slighting her.
Yeah, for sure.
But for a managerial mind like mine, and it's just calling it. It's just okay. And then it's a lesson.
Right.
So that's when you step into the next situation, you'll be prepared to handle the business.
Exactly.
Before you move forward, you know. And
exactly. I mean, that was, I mean, I was able to learn a lot of lessons, you know what I mean, firsthand. Some things you don't know until it happens.
Yeah. You know? And that's a beautiful thing.
Right. Exactly. You have to I was saying the other day, you know, you have to be willing to fail in order to get it. You know what I mean? If you're not willing to fail, you probably don't want it.
Yeah.
That bad.
That's
you know?
True.
And you got to learn from those lessons.
That's right.
My experiences, I've seen all of that stuff. I've seen all the stuff that Robert Glasper was talking about. You know what I mean? But at the same time, with her, I traveled to every continent except for Antarctica. You know what I mean? I was able to make a lot of great contacts that I still have today. I was able to see how the business works on that level. Yeah. I was able to see what producing a big time tour looks like firsthand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So like, it paid I
had a good experience.
Yeah, the experience paid for.
For sure.
Any of her shortcomings, you know.
For sure,
or maybe not her, but maybe let's say the brands, sure, the business at hand. But you know, you can wrap it up like that and put a bow tie on it and make it feel good.
I think so.
It's a good thing. I mean, it is because you can't get it. It's like shadowing. It's like, come on, I'm because that's a legend. She's a living legend.
There's no doubt. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah,
you know? It's. I mean, that's a part of my experience now.
Yeah.
You know, it's a part of it's a part of my story.
But she enjoyed you, didn't she?
For sure. I mean, we had a good experience. We had a good run. Yeah. I did everything I was supposed to do and everything I could do in that capacity. Yeah, you know, and it was good. It was overwhelmingly positive. Beautiful. On this end. Well, when you're in it, it's something else.
on this end. Well, tell me more, because I can't imagine. You know, what we see is what we see on the stage, and it's like, that's
right. But what I'm saying is that
is it personalities? I think probably play a role.
Well, personalities can, but I never had a problem with anything.
Yeah, I'm not saying yours.
Well, no, I'm saying I never had a problem with what was it, MLH, Miss Lauryn Hill. I never had a problem with her. She's, you know,
she's sweet. She's a sweet lady.
She is. She's nice most of the time. You know what I mean?
You think it could be just the process, or maybe disorganized, or how it's organized?
I think all of that. I think all of that is possible, because at the end of the day, certain things have to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Folks got to be taken care of, you know.
Yeah.
And that means a lot of different things, you know.
Hotel, travel,
absolutely.
Daily per diem,
for sure.
And
getting paid is a big one, you know what I mean. And in a timely manner is a big one, you know what I mean, to make anything work well.
Mm-hmm.
But we stayed in great hotels, you know what I mean, for at least in the beginning stages. Travel was all taken care of. We had some crazy travel stories.
Tell me one. Tell us one that'll make us laugh.
Well,
tell me something hilarious, maybe.
There was a time that the band got kicked off an airplane. You know what I mean?
Oh, in this side or somewhere else?
I think it was I think it was either in Belgium. We were traveling to Belgium, and we were having a hard time because we came on with instruments. Now, we didn't have any problems with any other airports that we had been on that entire tour, but this one person had a problem with all of us on this airplane bringing instruments. He was like, it's not gonna fit, all this other stuff. He was grabbing people, you know what I mean, and all this other stuff, and he ended up getting into it with the wrong person. And then, you know, the argument heightened, and then the police got involved, and unfortunately we had to get off the plane. And for that plane, it took an extra 2.5 hours to get all the luggage that we had off the plane back to us. You know what I mean? So the plane was at least delayed at 3 hours. You know what I mean? From going wherever it was going, had to pay all those fines for being late, and just for this one person that didn't want to let our instruments on the airplane. And the people on the plane was like, "There's room. Let them put their instruments up there." You know what I mean? It was insane. And then we ended up having to get a Sprinter and going to the next destination. You know what I mean? Which derailed, you know, which was going to be like a 1 hour flight. It ended up being like a 6-7 hour drive overnight. You know what I mean? So that tour in general, and then that was my first tour with. So it was wild, but it was like the Wild West, but we had a lot of good experiences in that tour. You know what I mean? A lot of memorable experiences. You know, like sometimes going through it, you don't know, but now when you think back about it, you can laugh about it. Because you know, you take your experiences for whatever they're gonna be. I choose to have a positive outlook, generally about most things, and I look forward to how it can help me. You know?
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I can tell you when I was trying to launch Mr. Torres Soul, we didn't have no money. Right. It was rough. We was trying to scrap up whatever we could to pay the band.
Right.
but that was, I think we were premature. We were way ahead of ourselves at that particular point in time. But I can tell you, it's important to take care of the band. Make sure they're happy. Make sure they're fed. Make sure everything, and then try to negotiate everything up front with the musical director, at least if he's the one, he or she is forming the band.
Right.
But still communicate with all the band members to make sure everybody's on the same page.
For sure.
And that leads me to, well, I don't want to, because there's something I want. Well, I do want to talk about management, because you are literally managing yourself.
Yeah, I am, and especially now, I did have somebody that was managing my project, Megan Stabile, but she recently passed away.
No!
Tragically, and she gave me a lot of game. on how to organize, organize what I'm doing, budget wise, presenting wise, how do I present myself online and in person, and taught me how certain things work as well. So I've gained a good amount of experience in that with her help, and through my experiences just as a musician that's been doing it for a little while now. So at this point I am self-managed, but I'm not misguided, hopefully.
No, you won't, and you won't be, and I'm right here, so just
right. No, I definitely have people around me that check me. You know what I mean? Or at least
or help you.
You're going in the right direction. There you go.
Or
got
help.
something for you. Here, you know what I mean? You're ready for this. Here, take this.
Or if it gets to be too much, hey,
I'll
be your assistant.
Right.
No charge.
For sure.
I put it in writing so you
right.
So you don't feel this. At least for the first, we'll have a period.
Right. Oh,
trial period. I'm just kidding. No, seriously, yeah.
That's real. Like
till fruits become bare, start to bear,
and then you're able to play. Exactly.
Trial and error. You have to show.
Right.
So so out of Lauryn Hill and that experience, Birckhead,
for sure.
The album, that beautiful album, that cover. Please tell me about the cover and the idea for it.
Well, I found this guy on Instagram. Let me grab one. See if I have one here. I think I do. Right here. Oh, it's upside down. But I saw this guy on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I was just browsing through. I was looking through different things on Instagram, and this guy was Giancarlo. He was a collage artist. So he has a collection of artifacts. He works mainly with flowers and things out of nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has this set of, he has all of these creations that he has, and he put this together. And I asked him, I said, do whatever you want. Here's what the album is about. Here's the music. Take a listen to it. And within the next couple of days, he started to come up with what's on the front cover here. Now he also did the back cover as well, which is another floral design, which is which is incredible. Like he's what he's working with is insane.
Oh wow! See, yeah. He's he nailed that.
He did, and the thing I like, it's very much so my personality. It's also regal, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And almost like a crest in a sense.
Yeah, it's literally a logo.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a brand. I don't know if you trademarked it and everything yet. You don't have to say, but yes, he did. So don't try to do it, people. Right. I know. But the music.
Well, the music
sets. I mean, I wanted to say that it definitely. I don't know if he heard all the music before he did the design, but
I did. I sent him the whole album before.
So yeah, he was feeling it.
Yeah,
it's connecting.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I really am surprised. And happy and elated to know you because you really play. It's and this music is soul soothing. And it's quiet storm, it's smooth jazz, it's jazz standards,
right?
Marcus Miller need to be playing some of this on his Sirius XM station.
Hey Marcus, let's go.
Okay. But go ahead, because I'll over talk you. I'm practicing.
Oh, no.
Keep it.
Well, I mean, it was my first presentation as a leader, and some of these tunes were brand new and other tunes I'd been playing for a while. And it deals with, and the topics are varied. It deals with, the modern Black experience, you know what I mean? There are tunes that are dedicated to those victims of police brutality. It also deals with love, and it deals with family as well. So this was a presentation that kind of showcased what I was about as a player and what I was about as a composer, right? And just as a person that's growing, you know? Which is why one of the reasons why it's called Birckhead. It's me, in a sense, and it also in Birckhead is kind of the name that was given to us, but I'm reclaiming it as my own, So it deals with it deals with all of that, and I'm still very proud of the album, even though we're finishing up touches for the next one, and I think you're gonna really love that one too.
I know. I'm trying to figure out what I can send over there so you can add to it. I want to be on it. It's not a big deal. We're gonna do our own. But 4 and 6.
4 and 6.
I love that.
Oh, thank you. That ended up being a lot of people's favorite tune.
Tell me all about how that came to be. Who's playing on it? Mm-hmm. Where'd you record it?
Mm-hmm. Well, we actually 4 and 6 is one that deals with shifting perspectives, right? So you can hear it in a lot of different time signatures. You can feel the music in several different ways, and it kind of takes on its own life. We use the numbers 4 and 6 because that's what we're counting to, but 4 and 6 can also be 2 and 3. 4 and 6 can also be 8, and you know what I mean. It can be whatever relative numbers that you want to put with it. Just like a shifting perspective, people see things in different ways. On the record, we have Mark Meadows on piano. We have Corey Wallace on the trombone. We have C.B. Dashiell III on drums and Romer Mendez on bass. And we recorded this in a studio in Springfield, Virginia, Bias Studios, which is the studio that I ended up recording with the Howard University Jazz Ensemble for 7 years. It's only right that I came back to do my first album there. And,
wow.
So it was full circle,
Beautiful. So that's literally, 7 minutes from my house.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
right.
yeah. So we will be working on some music there. Okay, but yeah.
Shout out to Bob Dawson.
Yes. So, how do you feel about the record?
I mean, I still like it. You know what I mean? I love it. And I think it's a good representation of where I was at that time.
Okay.
Even though now I play all the music very differently, which is what's supposed to happen.
Good. I'm sorry. Now, is 3 Uptown? Is that a bus going uptown?
3 Uptown is the train that I used to take when I was.
I was close.
When I was living in Harlem. Right.
Oh, okay. Right. So when you were in New York, you were living in Harlem.
The majority of my time was in Harlem. I spent a year total in Brooklyn, and 7 years after that in Harlem and places around.
So you just went right to the root.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. It was the first time that New York started to feel like home when I moved to Harlem. So that 3 Uptown represents that feeling, when I was there,
Because you're looking out the windows, you're looking at the brownstones, the graffiti, just the New York. It's different than down here.
It is. It's very different.
It's different vibe, and the vibe in the air.
For sure. The New York energy is something that's different altogether.
Yes, it is. And
each part has a very different feeling, but it's all New York. You know what I mean? There's definitely an urgency there. That is. I'm sorry. There's definitely an urgency there that isn't necessarily present at least not in the same capacity in the DMV. People are going to get it, like, for real, and that's it. which is a good lesson I learned. If you want it, you got to get it. You know, no one else is gonna do it for you. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You know? And there's a lot of everybody there. It has their own thing. Like, you know, you can dress how you want, and you won't necessarily stand out. It was like, okay, you're a normal person. You know what I mean? You're free to be who you want. You know, and nobody's gonna look at you funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It is. You know, I miss that about it, but you know, you got to be you wherever you are.
Yeah.
But New York does bring other things out of you. You know.
Yeah. Well, you're in your development. I mean, you were in your self-discovery stage, so
for sure,
it was probably already in you.
For sure. Right.
You know, we just had to know that it was. Right. But no, it's so the jazz. But you play rock too.
For sure.
And pop and you were with the Jonas Brothers.
Right.
And
right.
how was that well, you was with the group, but you was also with one of the brothers separately.
Yeah, separately, Nick Jonas with DNCE. And that was his group, Cake by the Ocean, and all those songs that were made popular by DNCE. That was
I saw you jamming. You was jamming on the stage. So they say, look, y'all have to dance, or they get y'all choreographer to dance, or is this something?
Oh, no, that was us. That was us.
Y'all was
it's a part of the gig, you know. It was part, like one of those lessons that I learned in high school marching band. You got to dance and play at the same time.
Wow.
You don't know how it's gonna come back up. You know what I mean? But it did. You know, it's you know, those lessons were not lost.
yeah. Saturday Night Live, I saw you.
Saturday Night Live, we did I've done Jimmy Fallon a couple of times.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those night shows. Good Morning America as well, a couple of times. Yeah, I mean, those were also other good lessons, good experiences to have. Just something different, you know, than you normally do. But the same lessons are required in all of them. You got to show up on time. You got to learn the music. You know what I mean? You have to be able to present, right? Which means you're able to play the music and you're able to be camera ready. Camera's on you. You know what I mean? You have to be able to turn it on. You know.
Okay.
Or never have it off. You know, but turn it on. You know, but you have to be able to turn it on for the camera and be able to present, like we were talking about before. Mm-hmm. You know, the same aspects. You know.
Well, it shows in your music videos. It shows in your stage performance. I think you all played with Usher at one point.
I didn't play with Usher.
Oh, that was a singer I know.
Yeah,
but doing backing vocals.
Yeah.
And so, but you've played with more than just Jonas. The Jonas
for sure.
Brothers.
Jessie J did stuff with her. Of course, Ericbenet.
Yeah.
Did some stuff with Larry Graham, the legendary bassist.
Yes. How was it working with Ericbenet and Larry Graham?
Both of them are real professionals. You know, Ericbenet is just a really nice guy. You know what I mean? And he's also a great singer. Like, he sings for real. You know what I mean? Nothing's fake. He's not using no auto-tune. You know what I mean? He sings for real. And he's musical. You know,
and you had more time to learn his stuff.
For sure.
That wasn't one off.
No, I ended up playing on and off with him for maybe 3 or 4 years. You know?
Okay, yeah. So you were set, and if he had new material, they would get that to you.
Right, you know. For sure. You know, yeah. But he was a really nice guy. Larry Graham, the same. You know. He's seasoned. He's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, before you were born.
For sure. You know,
I remember Graham. Yeah, me too. Graham Central Station.
Graham Central Station, classic.
Mm-hmm.
Every track.
You listen to the records.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you go back and do your.
Absolutely. I mean, I was listening to it when I was a kid, just because, you know, it was playing in the car.
Okay.
So a lot of those tunes I knew from when I was a kid. And my brother plays bass, so he would play some of those records, overnight, on nonstop, so I
Yeah, and
ended
that's
up absorbing that.
and talk about so your older brother plays bass,
Yes, he started off on trumpet and taught himself bass in the 10th grade.
and where is he now?
He's in LA now. And he's been with J Lo maybe for like 5 or 6 years now.
Playing the bass.
Playing bass. Hmm.
Wow, and you said it earlier, I think. What's his name?
William Birckhead. They call him Will, but
Okay.
in the house is William.
All right, so he's with J Lo, and you said you had a younger sister.
I do. I have a younger sister. She's in
Is she?
Baltimore.
Does she
She's
do
not
music?
a musician. No.
Okay.
Just me and my brother that pursued it. And I have an uncle as well that plays guitar and who was a military musician.
Okay.
In the Air Force. So that was my mother's brother.
So I bet that they're proud of both of you all, aren't they?
Oh, for sure. They're proud. I mean, they're proud of all of us. And they always say it too. So that's one of the reasons why I do it. And it's good to be back in Baltimore because my parents get to come to my shows more frequently, and that's added value. You know what I mean? That you don't really think about, but it is.
Yeah.
Even the music that I'm writing, I want to write music that that the people around me can identify with as well too. You know what I mean? So this next album kind of plays into that influence. The next album that I have has a lot of 90s R&B influence, you know what I mean, and hip hop influence. And it pulls some of the energy from the old school as well, so I'm using a lot of dance rhythms that I think people are going to enjoy,
Beautiful. July 11th is your birthday.
It's my birthday, 7/11.
Happy.
Same birthday as Kirk Whalum.
Isn't that something? And he's Kirk Whalum, Kenny G. Do you dig him? Who are some of your favorites? Sax men.
Some of my favorites.
And women.
Absolutely. Let's start from the beginning. I mean, of course, my foundation is like within like Charlie Parker and Cannibal Adderley. Those are, those. If I had a Mount Rushmore, they'd be on top of it.
Wow.
But I also, when I was coming up, I listened to a lot of John Coltrane. I listened to the record Giant Steps over and over and over and nonstop, and then I heard he had a record with Cannibal Adderley. I was like, what? You know what I mean? So I wore those records out. And we're talking about these guys from the past. Joe Henderson, I love Sonny Rollins, Sonny Stitt, Miles Davis, Freddie Hubbard, Woody Shaw. All of these people have influenced me.
Bobby Humphrey.
Bobby Humphries, oh my goodness, on that. What? But you listen to those records, and some of the more modern saxophones. I love Gerald Albright. He was a big influence on me early on because I'd never heard anybody in smooth jazz play with that type of technique, play with that accuracy, and then he'd go up into the upper register. You know what I mean? Just an amazing player, and he wrote amazing music. He made great records, I was really influenced by him coming up. In fact, I was in talent shows. I used to do songs that he used to do. I did like So Amazing. He did a rendition of Luther Vandross's So Amazing. I played that, you know what I mean? It was like that. I was really influenced by these people. I really loved the group Drew Hill, 112. I love Jodeci. I love SWV, Escape. I love Nas. I love Jay-Z. You know what I mean? There was a period where I listened to a lot of Eminem, and 50 Cent was and this was when I was in high school. You know what I mean? All of these people. I was listening to the radio a bunch at during that time as well. So all of that is in my music as well as the classics. So my influences are fairly varied, and I don't discriminate. If it's good, it's good, and I'll listen, and I'll escape.
Well, I hear the Cannonballs and
Absolutely.
Coltrane and all of that when I'm listening to this project.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
I was like, okay, did he just go there?
Right.
He went there. Oh, he went there. Oh, really? I'm like, okay. I said, okay, bop.
Right.
Yeah, and and the Ivory Antidote.
Ivory Antidote. A dedication to my grandfather. We share a name. Ivory is my middle name. Ivory was his first name. And he went to Howard University as well. He went to medical school at Howard University on the GI Bill. He fought in World War II. He was I think he was born 1916.
Wow.
So he was a part of that generation, and his antidote was medicine. That's the way he navigated through the world. And for me, music is my antidote. So the song ended up being entitled "The Ivory Antidote." We all have our own way of getting to the place where we want to go.
And it's something. Oh my God! So this next project is going to be your second album.
Second album, yes. I have a couple of singles out as well.
Talk about them.
Well, I have a single from the great Donny Hathaway, who is also a Howard University alum. I have a single and a music video to "Someday We'll All Be Free."
Yeah.
And that song has always been impactful to me in a number of different ways. But in a sense, it's always healing for me. Someday we'll all be free. There's hope in that song as well. And the compositionally, he's using an interval called the fifth. Now, the fifth is known as the interval of completion. That part right there, all fifths. So there's resolution. So he's talking about resolution, and the music is going in a way that's constantly resolving. You know what I mean? What a beautiful tune. An
interval.
Yeah, the interval of a fifth. Right.
Isn't it something? Because that's what I'm learning. That's the piano over there. And he's had me doing the intervals. I'm learning the intervals, and so I'm going up. Yes, and I have to get like you and practice more before the session. But because it's the mind. It's a mind. But anyway, not to get on that. But and I saw so let's say for someone out there who don't know, tell them how, or if you care to, how did you go about securing the license to do that song?
Well, actually, it's fairly simple now. All of the distributors, there's a bunch of them. You can do CD Baby is a distributor, DistroKid, TuneCore, and several others. They'll do the licensing for you.
Long as you play the music. Okay, you can't take the pre-recorded.
No, not pre-recorded. As long as you're playing it, you can buy a license, and it's per they do it per stream or per purchase.
Okay.
So it comes out in that capacity.
Beautiful.
But they'll do it for you. All of those distributors will. All you have to do, you have to say this is not an original song. It's by so and so and so and so, and they are with Sony Music Group or whatever it is. And they make that process fairly simple. So if you do want to do covers, you are able to, but you do have to pay licensing.
And it's important
for that tune, for sure. If you
don't want to be sued.
Exactly. And say, for instance, your tune gets picked up. Somebody else wants to replicate it. Somebody else wants to do it. You want to get paid as well. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. But if you're sampling, that's a different story. If you're using samples, you may have to go straight to that record company. I haven't used samples in any of my songs. All the stuff that I've done is recorded live, generally.
Original, yeah.
Right.
And I came across a duet you did with a young woman.
Which young woman?
I'm trying to remember her name. She was in the video.
Let me see which one.
And she was talking about, it was something intimate. It was something about touching you, or I don't know what she said.
I'm not sure which one this one is. Let me look through. Let me see.
And I said, "Oh, she really likes you."
Oh no.
She was.
You know how these things.
She was jamming in the video. I was like, okay, and then I did see the clip with you and oh God, I'm so mad because I had all this stuff is down and I don't. The young lady and you all in. It looked kind of like Bohemian Caverns, but it was somewhere else. This little blonde lady, and you were jamming.
Oh, that may have been in Paris.
Yeah, Paris. I saw that.
That was the first time we just met that day. You know?
Wow.
Yeah,
y'all
funny,
were rocking it. You were.
Both of us were sitting in. That wasn't our band.
Oh wow! You wouldn't know that.
Right, exactly. That's a part of the craft too. You know, the ability to go in any situation and make it yours. You know what I mean? And to be able to meld with whatever is happening. You know, that's a part of the craft. You know, so I was in Paris. Remember that trip I was talking about that got canceled because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
We ended up going back this past March, ironically. You know, exactly 2 years after. And while I was there, I ended up going to all the jam sessions. I went to every session that there was there. And I was out every night, you know, meeting and networking with all of these people that were there. That band in particular was called Electric Blue Cats, right? And it was at a place called Caveau des Oubliettes. And it was, like you said, it was like Bohemian Caverns. You go downstairs to get there, you know. And I ended up having a lot of good nights there. The people were very kind. The audience was really dope because they were into it, you know, and especially for an American musician over there, you don't quite get that there. You know, the American musicians bring a different vibe. The same way somebody from France coming to America would bring a different vibe, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing when we come over there, especially since a lot of the jazz musicians over there aren't very much so concerned with the audience. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's
the way they were trained.
Right, exactly. And this is where I was trained as well. You know what I mean, in a capacity, but I also came up in a different type of style.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
You know, I came up in
a more community base.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had both in me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen both and I've done both. And now that I've seen what those do, I can kind of put those things together, and I can have the high musicality, right? I can be spitting bars, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And also engage an audience, and you know, make eye contact, you know what I mean, and make sure involved with the musical experience, you know. Yeah. And it helps me too, then to know that people are in it, and I hope it impacts people that are in the audience. I hope that they enjoy it more, you know what I mean, and feel a part of it, because that's my goal, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So and even on the other flip side, if you're with some orchestra, right, and you're just solid and you know, like everybody else is like, yeah.
You have to be able to zone in.
Yeah.
Like if that's the gig, you zone in, right? You know what I mean? So there's both sides to it, you know. I just want to be able to be comfortable in any situation that I go into. I want to be able to be comfortable. I want to be able to perform at the highest level at any situation. I want to be able to impact any group that I'm in a positive manner. Mm-hmm. If there's a negative vibe in the band, I want to be able to lift that up if it's possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just what I've learned in my experiences, and how I want future experiences to go. So my behavior from that point on will be to gain that goal,
And I'm confident you'll achieve those, and you'll set more goals, and
there it is.
And you'll achieve those leaps and bounds, and set more goals. Before we go, a couple of more things.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite? I know you've been around the world, and can you give me at least 2 to 3 different places that you really, really loved and playing? And
definitely love playing in Japan because they know a lot of music, you know what I mean, and they're appreciative of black music, and that's what they call it, you know what I mean, like literally, oh, we love black music,
That's what it is,
right? It is.
These people over here.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead. They don't even want us to exist.
Exactly. And like first time that I was over there, I was like, black music, what do you mean? But like, it is that it's music that comes out of the black experience.
Yeah.
And they love it in Japan. I also went to a place in Georgia, old Soviet Union Georgia, not Georgia, Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
A place called Batumi, which is really, it's a tropical place. It's when we were there in the summer, and it's humid and it's 100 degrees, and they don't get a lot of music there as well. And they went wild when we played there. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Absolutely crazy. And which was such an amazing experience, playing in Batumi, Georgia.
Okay.
And also, for me, anywhere in the Caribbean is a good. I've had a really good experience. The Caribbean was the first place where I didn't feel like it was wrong for me to be black. And which could be weird for some people that aren't black to hear, But I was outside, and it was probably maybe 11 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? We were just laughing. You know what I mean? Having a good time, nothing crazy. But there was a sense I was like, oh shoot, where, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Should I be worried about, if police are gonna ride up on me? You know what I mean? And I was like, no, this is not where I am. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about that. And I was like, wow, I had to catch myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, man, I can just be me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can just
beautiful.
Exist. I could just exist. So anytime I'm in the Caribbean, I feel like I'm at home too.
Yeah, because you were in Baltimore, so that's the traumatic. After I watched that docu-series on HBO.
For sure, Baltimore has when I was a kid, I didn't realize it, but Baltimore is such a segregated place. Baltimore City and Baltimore County, such a segregated city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't think
you don't know it when you're growing up in it because you're in it, but
exactly.
And you think it's normal for the police to be beating us up and doing all that stuff, and no, it's not.
Right.
When you find out, they can't.
Right.
So on your downtime, do you cook? And what do you cook?
Well,
What's your specialty?
I don't really cook. I mean, I prepare.
Okay.
But most of these days, and I started during the pandemic.
Well, you're fit, so you must be going to the gym a lot.
Definitely, I go to the gym maybe 3 or 4 times a week. It's a part of my routine.
Okay.
I do pieces of yoga. I
Beautiful.
stretch. I meditate in the mornings.
Okay.
I walk my dog. And I eat fruits and nuts in the morning, like 11 a.m. and then I make myself a salad. I prepare. See, that's why I say I don't cook. I prepare.
Yeah. Okay.
So
healthy. Let's talk about that. The mind, the body, and the soul.
For sure, I think it's definitely all connected. And I think especially over the pandemic, I had to be more specific about everything that I was doing. You know what I mean? And I feel better about knowing that if I do these certain things, I'll have a certain outcome, and it's to a certain capacity, it's guaranteed. You know what I mean? If I do these things, I'm going to have a guaranteed path to whatever I want. I'm like, okay, if I do this, if I can do it over and over again, replicate it, I'll be able to achieve this. And the same thing, I do that for my music, and I decided to apply that to diet. You know what I mean? If I eat these things, I can pretty much guarantee that I'm gonna be able to do these certain things. So that it's helped my mind process things as well. And I feel like it's been a good journey thus far, because I used to be the total opposite. Didn't necessarily care. It was just something that I had to do. So,
and it's a benefit.
Definitely,
and it shows. And then, so the process of cutting your hair. Everybody knows you, and I'm getting you. I think This is your first interview without the hair.
First interview without the hair.
So let's talk about the beautiful hair.
Well,
that beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful now. It's curly and beautiful. But
when I looked in the mirror, I didn't know who I was anymore. At least I hadn't seen it in so long. So I had my hair for 14 years. Right? 14 long years. Now, intermittently, I would trim it, because if I didn't trim it in those 14 years, it would have been down to the ground.
So would you have to go into a shop and let them do it? So you had somewhere where you were going and they would maintain it.
Yeah, I was maintaining it on a monthly basis. And that was a different experience. Now I'm at a different part of my life, and symbolically, the cutting of the hair is commonplace, for any type of transformation, and when I went in to get my hair cut, and I let the barber cut my hair, I didn't cut it myself. I didn't have anything left for my hair. It was that period was over by the time I got there. I didn't feel anything when he was cutting it. It felt like the natural thing to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And then he turned me around and it was all gone. It was like, oh, this is a new person. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
Even though there was a new person brewing internally, you know what I mean? And this was the outward projection of that, So once I got it cut, it was like, okay, this is it. I didn't feel like, oh man, I should have kept it. I miss them. Like, what? I didn't have any of that.
No.
It was like, on to the next. This is it.
Because
next chapter.
And it'll grow back if you allow it.
Right. And I got out in time. You know what I mean? I got out in time. I don't have any bald spots.
Okay. Oh, that happens?
Yeah, I definitely. Know. I mean, I think people will.
See, I don't know too much. And I was thinking about getting locks.
Well, I don't think it well, I guess it can. But I think people just have them for a long period of time. And the natural way of their hairline or any parts of their hair, they could have been balding for years with their locks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they find out that they were balding, when they cut them off.
Oh, wow.
So thankfully, I mean, I still have a full head of hair. While I got it,
All right. So words of wisdom. What would you tell a new saxophonist or what is the word? Wind person?
A woodwind artist.
A woodwind artist. This starting out. Some of the pitfalls to avoid. Because I mean, and it's no secret. Women do. Well, in this day, people do throw themselves on the musicians, don't they? Sometimes. I mean, that could happen.
It can.
Out there.
I will say it's mostly about how you receive it.
Yeah. So tell them how to receive it so they won't get caught out.
I think you gotta be solid with yourself first. You know what I mean? You have to know what you want. I have less of a problem receiving love now because I take it in a manner that builds me up.
Okay.
It reassures that what I'm doing is the right thing, right?
Okay.
I say most people there's not throwing themselves at you, but I will receive the love if they give it to me. I'll say thank you. I appreciate you. You know what I mean? I hope you enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? And that's and that at that moment, that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? And that's how you have to take it, unless you want to take something further. But that's a decision, you know.
Between two consenting adults,
Exactly. Between two consenting adults. That's a decision. But I will take love. That's always.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think being able to transfer that love into what you do is a skill, and I'm still learning how to do it and harness it. You know, because you can harness things in different ways. Some things are more destructive than others. You know, but I think I can learning how to harness it and using it
for healing.
Exactly.
It's got to be for healing.
I think so too.
And a recharge.
Exactly. I think that's perfect. The recharge is like the perfect is the perfect word.
Because other than that, I ain't got no time for it, sir.
Telling you, you know what I mean? Until you do.
All right, it's time for let me stop.
But for a young budding artist, I would say this: don't be afraid to take every step. There's no skipping steps. You know, if you skip something, you're gonna have to go back and get it later.
Oh yeah.
And if you're gonna, the way that you're gonna have to get it later may be falling on your face. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to take every step. Not everything is gonna come when you want it, you know, but you're being prepared for the moment that you're gonna get. The opportunity that escapes, you know, wasn't for you. You weren't ready for it, you know. So it didn't really escape. It wasn't for you. Continue to take all the proper steps to get everything that you want. Build yourself up to your strongest ability. Make sure that you go back and that you learn from your failures. Don't be afraid to fail, because that's where the biggest lessons come. And then you can go directly at those failures, and you can go past those failures, and you can make those your strengths. Be consistent in what you're doing, because consistency is the only thing that's going to bear fruit, you know. And I think that's it, you know. Don't be afraid to fail. Be consistent in your pursuit and take every step.
Beautiful. I recently saw you're posting video clips on Facebook. Yes. Tell us about that. What inspired you to start, and just let us know what that's all about.
Well, over the pandemic, I started a series called Tunes on a Tuesday, where I would go live on a Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would play songs that I was producing. Right. I would write songs within my DAW, which is a digital audio workstation at Logic, and or other people. I was making beats, right? I was presenting these compositions on that Tuesday, you know. And from there, I ended up playing these tunes. I ended up, started engaging with the audience in that way. And before that, I hadn't done any live videos. You know what I mean? I wasn't going live at all. But this spawned the next portion of what I was doing, how I was presenting. And it's been pretty effective thus far, and it's helped me in my communication with an audience as well. Yeah. And it's helped me with my composition, you know, because I'm presenting new material all the time. Okay. And that's also it's a new challenge. It's in a challenge, not in a way that's negative, but a new challenge in a way that inspires me to be better, you know. Mm-hmm. So I started doing that, and from these live videos, I started pulling certain questions that people would ask, and I started posting the answers. And this is just recently, within the last couple of weeks, I started posting the answers that people would ask in the lives. And I realized, you know, that these questions that people were asking, maybe a lot of people had these questions. So I started putting them on my page, and it's been within these last couple of weeks, it's been fairly successful, you know. Okay. And I think people have been but have been enjoying it, and as far as an entertainment source and an educational source. So that's kind of how that started. And from the live series, I've also started doing something called Stay There. For musicians, we want to play all of the stuff that we're learning. You know what I mean? We want to go off. We want to shred. But once you find a sweet spot, you need to stay there and develop it from that point. There's nothing wrong with staying in that moment and milking it for everything that it has and letting that one moment inspire the next. And I think it's kind of a mantra for life too. You know what I mean? You don't have to go so fast. Sometimes you need to stay there, figure out what it's about, and then move on. So that's what that Stay There series is about as well. I do it musically, right? And then, philosophically as well.
And the Stay There series is the one that's on Facebook.
I'm posting on both, but
Instagram. Okay, so
as well. Yeah. So you'll find those videos there. And I recently joined TikTok.
Now you're gonna really have a ball with that. Yeah.
Right. So I'm shifting some stuff over there because each platform has its highs and lows. You know what I mean? It has things that it's really good for. But to me, I feel Facebook has a bigger response for people that are going to shows, and I can post something on there and people are like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that on Facebook. Instagram is shorter form, you know what I mean? So you have to be able to get people in a little bit quicker. Now, what I'm realizing about TikTok has a bit of a larger audience. It's a worldwide audience. Even though you think Instagram is worldwide, TikTok is really worldwide. You know what I mean? And it has
they see you.
Exactly.
You can get more exposure. So TikTok is not owned by Facebook and Instagram.
Nothing. It's independent.
And because Instagram and Facebook, they monopolize the thing. Because when you when you first got on there, everybody could see you. And
exactly.
Now they control. You got to buy. You got to pay to be seen.
Exactly. It's vicious. It's a vicious cycle,
That's why everybody's on TikTok now.
Right. They have a much wider range now, and TikTok has the nerve to integrate well with Facebook and Instagram. Like you can post to TikTok and it posts automatically to your Facebook. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. We'll work with all of you. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think I need to sign up for TikTok. Well, Phase 2. That's your other band.
Well, that's a band that I came up in. My first gigs with Phase 2 were when I was 21 years old. I was still at Howard. My first gig with them was one at Jasper's, the old BET soundstage, and then the next.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. And the next day I did the Capitol Jazz Cruise. So those were my first experiences with Phase 2. Wow. And in Phase 2, I was able to learn a whole different type and style of music. It wasn't straight ahead jazz. It was funk. It was smooth jazz. It was all of these different things, all elements coming into one.
Yeah.
So I was able to cut my teeth in that band and
Adrian
learn a lot of new music. Right.
Yeah,
Adrian, absolutely. Everybody's Adrian's cousin. I haven't met nobody that wasn't Adrian's cousin. But yeah, Phase 2. That was another stepping stone. That was the best band I'd played with.
Do you still play with them on occasion?
I still play with them. There was a time where I couldn't play with them for about 8 years, and then I moved back. And now that was another one of those bands where you come back with different eyes.
Because I think they either are going to be at Blues Alley or they.
We did. I did Blues Alley with them 2 weeks ago, I think, and then I recently did Keystone Corner with them in Baltimore.
Okay.
So I'm still playing with Phase 2 periodically. And it's still, it's still one of my favorite bands to play with. They are a part of my story. They are a part of my development.
Well, I can tell you this. Your performance on the Kennedy Center stage, Millennial stage,
right,
on YouTube, you really should be how do you say, putting that on Front Street so more people can see it, because it is flawless.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know, I mean, it's yeah. So are you looking to, or then you may have been back, but are you looking to go back there?
Oh, for sure.
Or another.
We're looking to that was right at, I think we did that March of 2019, right? And the album came out in February. So we're looking to do the same in this next coming year with the new album, you know. So we can present that new material, that new hour of music, you know. Beautiful. What I mean? On in that capacity too, because they do a beautiful job there presenting it. You know what I mean? They have great camera work. They have good sound engineers, good lighting, and a good audience that's regular there. And when we were there, we got a standing ovation. It was super dope. You know?
Yeah, it was. I mean, and not only that, they streamed it.
Right. Absolutely. It's still there. It's still there. For
and it's beautiful. The music video. So you had a couple of people do different music videos, and I think. Is it Nicole? Dedication from the...
Yes, from Hybrid Music.
And did they cast the actors in the video? And
oh, you're talking about... I'm sorry. That's Nicole was the one that did Hybrid music video. Now, the morning after...
the morning after. I'm sorry.
Babatunde Salam. He's a Baltimore native. And he cast... the actors that were in that music video. Some came up from Richmond. Majority of them were in Baltimore. We used some of my friends to be in the music video as well. And it came together so amazing. I mean, better than I could ever imagine.
Yeah, because I mean, it was literally some acting in it.
Definitely.
So you all developed the treatment together, and
we did.
It was your idea.
We came together. Yes, it was. I told him what the song was about, and we came up with some language for the song so that we could make some sort of outline and script for the movie.
Okay.
Well, it ended up being like a music video.
Yeah, it's a movie.
And from that point, we figured out certain things that we wanted, elements that we wanted in the music video, like the dancers, the drums. We wanted there to be guys on the motorcycles. You know what I mean? Because that's also a big part of Baltimore culture. You know, and we wanted it to be. You know, we didn't want it to be all down. We didn't want it to be all depressing because it was inspired by the Freddie Gray verdict. You know what I mean?
That was it.
Which is why it was called The Morning After. You know, and it starts with a woman in mourning, right? Over a plot of her dead spouse, right? But it ends on a high note with her incorporating body movement with healing, with her incorporating healthy diet with healing, with her incorporating community with a healing process, right? And it ends on a high note, you know. So it's still relevant, you know. You know. So even I guess it's been three years since we put that music video out, and you know, I think it still has impact. You know.
Yeah, it does, and bravo. I say bravo. You know, and yeah, so the website is
BrentBirckhead.com, www.BrentBirckhead.com, and that last name is Birckhead, and you can go on social media at Brent Birckhead, right? And again, that last name is Birckhead, and you can go on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on all of that, you know what I mean? And stay up to date, and hopefully you'll be entertained, and hopefully I can see you in person, you know what I mean? Because you know, that's what we're presenting online, but we also want to see people at our shows as well. So.
Now, is there a certain type of sax, or is all sax the same?
No,
that you prefer?
There's several different types of saxophones that are pitched in different keys. My main instrument is the alto saxophone, but I also play the soprano saxophone, the tenor saxophone. I play soprano and alto and bass flutes. I play soprano and bass clarinets as well. And all of these instruments are different sizes. They have different pitches, and by pitch I mean high and low.
Okay.
So they come in all sorts of sizes,
Colors
as well.
material.
Mostly brass.
Okay.
But you will find them plated in different. You'll find them silver plated. You'll find them gold plated. You know what I mean? You can have them painted. Yeah, I have a black soprano. You know what I mean?
I wish I could see it.
I don't have it out right now. But it's you can go on Instagram.
I can find it, or you can text me a picture of it.
For sure.
But so you have a collection yourself.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
and I use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not sitting there. Okay, yeah.
That is another thing. A lot of people collect them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
But you use them.
for sure.
Yeah, isn't that something? I tell you, it's amazing. People don't even understand and have they don't even have a clue. Do you speak other languages too?
Not many. I speak a little French, un petit peu.
Okay.
But nothing fluently. I can speak I can do some greetings in other languages, something to get me by when I'm in other places.
Okay.
But I speak American English, and I speak Ebonics.
All right. I know that's right. All right.
Because it is another language.
Yeah. No Japanese.
No Japanese. I can say a couple of them, like Genki desu ka. You know what I mean? That's like how you doing.
Okay.
Semimasen. Excuse me, and certain words, but nothing. Nothing in any sort of speaking, sense. I can just get by.
Mm-mm. Well, Brent, you are the man.
Oh, well, thank you
for
having me.
And this is None Other Than Nigel podcast, and I'm just happy that you came on board,
For sure.
and everything, and I don't even know. We've been here a while. I don't know how much time you have, and this Zoom thing. I'm not too much familiar with it. I'm starting to use it, but I notice it's freezing you up periodically. I wonder if it's because we've been on here long. I don't know. Can you see yourself?
I can see myself now.
Do you see when you freeze?
No, I see you when I freeze to you, you're freezing to me.
Also, okay. All right. So then that may be just while we're looking at it then. When it plays back. Anyway,
Right.
Who cares? But no, I'm proud of you, young man. I'm proud of you. I mean,
thank you. You've been around for a while.
Yeah. I tell you, I have to sing you those clips I told you. With you blowing the sax. I was like, okay. And what about what's his name? Smoot?
Oh, Robert Smoot.
Yeah, I think you were playing. Is he still active?
He's still active. He's doing things with Derek Freeman, Redfoots.
Oh yeah. The drummer.
They're still working with Brencore. Right?
Yeah. Okay. So definitely remember that. All right. And so now, so as of today, you're still your professor.
Yeah.
At Morgan State
University.
And that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's definitely glad to be at a HBCU.
Yeah. And any prospects of opening your own music school at some point in life?
Well, not opening. I mean, I have my own saxophone studio, so I have in total about 8 students, which outside of Morgan.
Oh, okay. All right.
So actually, the majority of my students are outside of Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have that, and I'll continue to maintain that. I generally don't want to get over 10. If I get over 10, I'm gonna have to bring other people in.
Right.
But I have my own studio of students ranging from elementary age to retirement age. So.
Wow. And they come in with their sax and their flute and do it up. Well, are you going to be showcasing any your flute playing on this next project?
Oh, definitely. I'm playing soprano, alto, tenor, saxophone on this one. I'm playing soprano and alto flute on this next album. I'm also playing bass clarinet on this album. I'm also doing some synthesizers on the next album that I'm playing, and bass programming as well on the next album. So
beautiful. Well, I can't wait.
Yes, indeed.
I know it's too soon, but do you have a target date?
February.
Okay, that's good. That's good enough. Yeah. I can't wait. So, keep me in the loop and let me know when some advanced music comes around and everything.
Sure.
And everything. And I'm gonna shoot you some stuff too. But yeah, thank you so much. It's been a blast.
For sure.
It's been a blast, and please check him out. You won't be disappointed. And for anybody that wants to book him, professionally, his booking information is on his website. And Brent Birckhead, the one and only. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you.
Definitely grateful.
All right. Enjoy.
All right, Nigel.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to tune in for another exciting and fun-filled episode. You do not want to miss it. Follow me on Instagram at NoneOtherThan NIGEL. Like and subscribe on Facebook. Interested in being a guest on our show? Or have a topic or show idea in mind for me to consider? Just head over to NoneOtherThanNIGEL.com.